Will you be as smart as a dolphin if you would buy this car? Sorry, I thought I heard something, but I don't know yet, maybe. What I do know is that finally this is not a 50 or 60,000 euro crossover. No, this car starts from 30,000 euros and therefore this is a direct competitor to the MG4. And because this car is more affordable than most electric cars, I was really looking forward to driving it. So, hello there monsters and men, ladies and people. This is the BYD Dolphin and welcome to Recharging. What do you get for those 30,000 euros? You get a Dolphin with a 45 kWh battery pack and a WLTP range of 340 kilometers. It also has a motor of 95 horsepower and 180 Nm of torque. With that it can do 0 to 100 in 10 seconds. Yes, that is not a whole lot for an EV. You can also pay a little bit more and then you can get a motor with 177 horsepower. Or you can pay even more and then you get this drivetrain. This drivetrain has a 60 kWh battery pack with a WLTP range of 427 kilometers, a motor that produces 204 horsepower and 310 Nm of torque and does 0 to 100 in 7 seconds. Yes, that is more like it. This is the same drivetrain as in the Atto 3. What is also the same as in the Atto 3 is that you get a BYD Blade battery. In short, that is a battery with a LFP chemistry and it is the safest EV battery in the world. The BYD Dolphin from the outside does luckily not look like a dolphin. No, it even looks a bit boring if you ask me. But boring means not ugly, not exciting, so it might appeal to a lot of people. As you can see, the Dolphin has a short bonnet. So it will not surprise you that the Dolphin does not have a frunk. And as I have already said, the Dolphin is a direct competitor to the MG4. And if you ask me, the Dolphin looks shorter than the MG4. But looking at the side profile, it is actually 3 millimeters, yeah, you heard me right, millimeters longer than the MG4. And yes, the charge port is at this not so great location. But the Dolphin might be longer than the MG4. The boot space is actually a bit smaller than that of the MG4. Not by much though. Where the MG4 has a boot space of 363 liters, the BYD Dolphin has a boot space of 345 liters. But I have to mention that you only get that boot space when you remove the false floor. Because if you do that, you get a really deep boot. Besides that, there is pretty much nothing in the boot of the BYD Dolphin. No 12-volt socket, no hooks or anything. But if you fold down the rear seat, you get a boot space of 1310 liters. So let me put this back and then I will give you 5 seconds. If I can do this, yep. I will give you 5 seconds to have a look at the rear of this car before I go to the rear seats. 1, 2, 3. Okay, let's go. The seat in front of me is in my typical driving position. I am 1 meter and 85 centimeters and I have plenty of knee room. The seat in front of me is also in its lowest position and I cannot shove my feet under the seat in front of me. Headroom, for me it is okay, but barely. So people taller than me, well, they will touch the roof. The car has a flat floors because, well, it is an electric car. But sitting here with 3 people, well, that will be cozy. Besides that, the downside of not being a crossover or SUV is that, well, there is a battery pack under here and therefore the floor is relatively high in the car. That means I have no support for my legs on the rear seats. Besides that, there is a cup holder here, 2 USB-C ports, 2 pockets here for your mobile phone, another huge pocket, and a center armrest with, well, 2 more cup holders. So how does a small non-crossover electric car drive? It drives great. It is not as much fun as the MG4, but I really like the way this BYD Dolphin drives. The suspension feels like a German car. That means it is comfortable, but it feels planted and solid even at higher speeds. The steering, again, not as much fun as that MG4, but it is good enough. Also, it is a lower car, that means a lower center of gravity, and therefore it feels great in the corners. I just can't help it. Again, I really like the way this BYD Dolphin drives. It feels nimble and agile in town or on a back road, but it also feels grown up on the highway. The Dolphin has the same problem as every other front-wheel drive electric car though, and that is that, especially on wet roads, when you floor the accelerator pedal, there's too much power for the front wheels, so they do spin. And also, it is a cheaper electric car, so BYD had to save money somewhere, and therefore it is not the most quiet EV. Besides that, your driving position, I have good seats, nice fixed steering wheel with plenty of adjustability in both. I have no trouble finding a good driving position in this car. As mentioned, the Dolphin that I am driving has the same drivetrain as the Atto 3. It is only a smaller car than the Atto 3 and therefore it is slightly more efficient. The Atto 3 has a WLTP range of 420 kilometers. This Dolphin has a WLTP range of 427 kilometers. As I have said, slightly better. My experience with the Atto 3 is that in spring-summer conditions, it can do its WLTP range or maybe even more when driving on mixed roads. And therefore I am confident that this Dolphin can also do its WLTP range or even more when driving on mixed roads in spring-summer conditions. In more winter conditions like it is right now, I can do on mixed roads around 340 kilometers. And when driving on the highway, and then I am talking about 130 kilometers an hour, you can do with this Dolphin around 250 kilometers. In winter a little bit less, in summer a little bit more. What you do notice though, and well, I find that funny or at least interesting, is that, well, again, the Dolphin is a smaller car, therefore on higher speeds you have less drag, and you really notice that the Dolphin on higher speeds is more efficient than that Atto 3. The 45 kilowatt hour battery pack has a WLTP range of 340 kilometers. And also I'm confident that in spring summer you can do that. In winter I do expect when driving on mixed roads you get a range of around 270 kilometers with that 45 kilowatt hour battery pack. In terms of EV driving features, the BYD Dolphin, it lacks a little bit. There is no one pedal drive mode, there are only two regen modes, normal and high. At least that is what BYD calls them. I call them more low and normal. The navigation does not plan charging stops when your range or when your destination exceeds your range, and it does not precondition the battery when navigating to a fast charger. It does have a heat pump as standard though. The 45 kilowatt hour battery pack with the weakest motor only has a single phase onboard charger as standard. That means charging it from 0 to 100% will take you a very long time. Fast charging the 45 kilowatt hour battery pack can be done with a maximum of 60 kilowatts. Charging it from 10 to 80% will take you around 40 minutes. The 60 kilowatt hour battery pack, that one does have a 3-phase onboard charger as standard. Charging that from 0 to 100% will take you around 7 hours. Fast charging the 60 kilowatt hour battery pack can be done with a maximum of 88 kilowatts. Charging it from 10 to 80% will also take around 40 minutes. And yes, those fast charging numbers that I just said for today's standard are not that great. But the top model of the BYD Dolphin does have support for vehicle to load. So the exterior of the Dolphin does not look like a Dolphin, but does the interior? Well, again, luckily, no it does not. The only thing in here that really reminds me of a Dolphin are the door handles, because they are shaped like a Dolphin's flipper. As you can see, it is really black in here, a little bit too black if you ask me. I have seen pictures of the interior where it is available in different colors, but that is not available here in the Netherlands. Here you get this all blackness. But besides all the black, the build quality of the Dolphin's interior is really good. Of course, mostly hard plastics are being used because again, this is a cheaper car, so BYD has to save money somewhere. But the build quality feels really good, the feel of the buttons. I think this is a nicer interior than that of the MG4. What about cubby space then? Well, the door pockets are not that big, they barely fit a 1 liter bottle. You do have a huge cubby here under your center armrest. There is a place here for your phone, or you can store your phone up here. There are 2 cup holders, a cubby with a cover, and you do have a large glove box. What is a missed opportunity, if you ask me, is this physical button cluster here in the middle. There are some brilliant things at the moment and some not so brilliant things. First, the brilliant things. You have your drive selector, that is good. You have a volume button here that you can press to turn the audio on or off. Great. Then you have 3 buttons for your climate control. You can put it on auto, you can put it on or off, and you can put on the front shield, defroster. But then you do have 3 buttons here for your drive mode. I never use that. I put the car in normal and well, that's it. To put the car in snow mode, I mean, who uses that every day? No one. And to determine your regeneration level. And also that is a thing that you most of the time set one time and then you never touch it. So BYD, take my advice, or at least I find it good advice, and make this a climate control cluster. Keep the drive selector, keep the volume knob, but replace the mode, the snow mode, and your regen button with, I don't know, a button for the temperature and 2 buttons for each heated seat. That would have been so much better. Then the infotainment system, because as standard you get this very nice big clear screen that can also, yes, it can rotate again. According to BYD, portrait mode can be handier while navigating, but to me the rotating is just a gimmick. But besides that, the infotainment system itself, it is user friendly, it is very snappy and responsive. I mean, BYD does this really, really well. Of course, you have your typical Chinese car quirks like the temperature of the climate control, or when you use your buttons on the steering wheel to navigate through your radio stations, it doesn't go through your favorite, but through all radio stations. But these are things that BYD can fix with software updates. And BYD is actively doing that because the Atto 3 did not have support for Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. But now the Atto 3 and also this Dolphin does. As with most Chinese cars, all driving and safety features come as standard on the Dolphin. It can only be a bit hit and miss on how well they work on Chinese cars. Well, I have good news, because here in the Dolphin they work well. There's only one system that annoys me, and that is the lane departure warning. When driving in lane, no problem, it works fine. It is when switching lane that it annoys me, because how it should work is that you want to switch lane, you turn on your turning signal. You can also do that by tapping it so it blinks 3 times. The lane departure warning should disengage, and it should engage when you are in your new lane. No problem then. But here in the Dolphin, I want to switch lane, I turn on my turning signal, I am switching lane, and for some reason the lane departure warning engages too quickly or disengages too late. And therefore sometimes when switching lanes you can feel the force feedback of the lane departure warning in the steering wheel. And well, that is annoying. So please BYD, calibrate this properly with a software update. So let's come back to the question at the beginning. Are you as smart as a Dolphin when buying this car? In short, yes, I think you are. I think the Dolphin is a good EV that offers good value for money. And personally, I think this is a nicer car than the MG4. And also, if you do not need the space, I would buy a Dolphin over a Atto 3. It is more efficient and it drives better. And that was the review of the BYD Dolphin. I hope you liked it, and if you did, please give a like and do subscribe. If you have something to say about all of this, leave a comment. And then, thank you a lot for watching, and as always, to be continued.